Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So Omarosa has caused a huge firestorm of controversy and has offended a huge population of white women because she's basically opened a can of worms called privilege in America, and she did it on national television. So now people are flocking on the blogs and the internet, and there's just a bunch of controversy and a huge flux or influx of arguments and everything else and so on and so on. So I said, let me go ahead and give my 2 cents. I didn't even know Bethenny had a show because I didn't know who Bethenny was until today, but I guess you learn something new every day. Alright, so I'm learning. Who wants to learn with me? Moving on. The statement that Omarosa said, and I'm going to post the links to the argument right here because I know somebody's already pushing a dislike button because they thought they were going to see the argument and instead they saw me. Sorry. Whatever. I at least posted the links. But anyway, they're having a disagreement about basically accolades and success and credentials and who deserves to be where they are and so on and so on. Omarosa basically makes a statement where she says African American women have to perform twice as well to be considered half as good, and something along the lines of that. And then she also said that, you know, as white women, you guys get, I guess, a pass for being mediocre, or you get rewarded for being mediocre. Something along the lines of that. Don't quote me. It's something close. Just find the transcript and look it up yourselves. But basically, with that statement, it caused a huge influx of jeers and booing from the audience because it offended most of the people in the crowd, who were a majority white women. And on top of that, just to go back and pause, this is what I'm going to say, because I'm going to give my opinion on the argument, and I'm going to give my opinion on what Omarosa said. Going to the actual argument, my beef I have with Bethenny would have been, Bethenny, you don't ever let somebody come on your show and drag you on your own show. You should always be prepared for whatever takes place on your show if you're the host of it. You should always know the caliber and the extent of the type of guest that you're going to have on your show and what they're capable of doing. And if you are somebody who studies your craft and studies the type of people who are going to be on your show, you should have known that someone like Omarosa, who is somebody who is very assertive, very about her business, very smart, very quick on her feet, and also does not really take any prisoners when she has to get off her chest what she feels, you should have known that that wasn't going to be a great interview to have because she was going to come for you and it was going to be a huge blowout. You guys already had like I guess a disagreement, so you should have known that it wasn't going to go very well, and you dropped the ball on your end as far as being prepared for Omarosa's interview. Omarosa came to that show with a vendetta, and she was ready for you, and she made sure that you heard and your audience heard and all of America heard everything that she had to say about you and why, and she did it in a way where you ended up looking like the foolish one. Even and most people probably would agree until Omarosa said the line that pissed off everybody, which I actually agree with what she said, and I'll tell you why later. But Bethenny, you should have been more prepared about that. Now, I don't even like Omarosa. Like, I think she is an interesting person, and I can't figure her out. Now, I will say she makes really good TV, but I'm not really a fan of Omarosa. But I'm aware that Omarosa is somebody who you have to really prepare for when you're going to cross her. And because Bethenny, you were basically the one who started the whole thing, you should have made sure you had your stuff together, and you didn't. So Omarosa got you together on your own show, and I don't know, that freaking sucks to be you. But anyway, moving on. So let's get into what Omarosa said. So Omarosa says the line about white women get a pass for being mediocre and black women have to work extra hard to be half as good. And in my opinion, I feel that that is true. And I think that is because when you look at history and you look at America, America is a very divided nation. America is divided socially, we're divided culturally, we're divided by class, we're divided by race, we're divided by a bunch of different things. Alright? But one of the big things that affects all of us is privilege to some extent. And one thing that people hate when you bring up the word privilege is people automatically associate privilege with being racist. And I think that's not quite the context. Now, a lot of times people who come from privilege use their privilege to oppress others, and that can be racist, but privilege isn't always something where you're directly racist. So a lot of times people get offended when you bring up privilege because they're like, how dare you? I'm not racist. I have this many black friends and I do this and I donate to feed the earth or whatever, and all the babies in Africa get, you know, they get a full education and brand new clothes and some Jordans and some Nikes and a PlayStation 3 because I donated 80 cents a day. So I know I'm not racist. Alright, so let's jump into that. This is why so many people were offended. America in 2013 is moving into a post-racial ideology where nobody sees color. Everybody is equal. We are all American. Let's kiss the flag. God bless America. And that's beautiful. I love that. Unfortunately, not everybody in this country has that same ideology and has that same viewpoint. And the problem is the people who don't share that same viewpoint are usually the people who are in power. And a lot of the times, those people in power implement policies and institutionalize different ways of thinking and different procedures that make it hard for people that look like me and different other minority groups to do well. And that's where the racism kicks in. So if you're someone who doesn't see color and you're someone who is we're post-racial, we're all American, that's fine, that's dandy. I love that when we go out somewhere, you look at me just like you look at your own family. But unfortunately, because it's not an even playing field and everything is not exactly up to par with your ideological beliefs, you unfortunately don't get the option to really use that as a justification for saying that everything is equal, and somebody like me should not speak out about some of the injustices that happen to different groups of people because your experience is not the same as mine. So let's break down this whole privilege thing, because people are like, what the effing heck is privilege? And so, and this is black people complaining again, and here they go, always trying to pull the race card, and always trying to divide us Americans and cause even more problems. If you guys would just shut up about it, racism wouldn't exist. Sorry, that's not really the case. And of course, many times, many people say that because they're not usually on the receiving end of it, or receiving end of the institutionalized racism. Yeah, you might have had a bad run-in with somebody who was black because they looked at you sideways, but you weren't really a victim of, you know, a larger grand scale of the racism that affects many minorities. Moving on. This is my example of privilege, and I was trying to put together one that was almost foolproof. I don't know if I made it foolproof or not. I'm sure somebody's going to find a way to seam rip this little theory I'm going to give, and they're just going to go in on the comment section, and you just go for it. But anyway, here's my theory of privilege, and I think this is where Omarosa was going with her argument when she was talking about Bethenny. All right? Omarosa had said you have to be twice as good, or you have to work twice as, you know, well, or whatever, to be considered twice as good. And even Olivia Pope's dad said that on Scandal. That's why I jumped off my couch when he said them. Yes! Because I've been saying that for the longest on all these videos. Anyway, back to my example. Let's say all of us are in 4th grade, all right? And there's 30 kids in our class, and the teacher has us all in the classroom assigned by first name, okay? And let's just say your name is Zoe, and I don't know, my name is Aaron with an A, okay? So your name is Zoe. The teacher has the classroom arranged by alphabetical order with their first names, not last. So everybody is seated and arranged by the name that they are born with, the name that they cannot change. Yeah, you can change your name around and say, well, you know, you just call me Z or ZJ, but in the end, your name is Zoe. There is nothing you can change about your name, at least until you're an adult, all right? So your name is Zoe, and because your name is Zoe and it starts with a Z, you and everybody else whose first name starts with Y or an X or whatever, you guys are in the back. And me and Brandon and Cassandra and Doug, we're all in the front of the classroom having us a good freaking time, okay? Now, this is what happens. The teacher has 30 copies of an article that she printed out on the copier in the office or the teacher lounge, okay? The article is like, maybe, let's say the article's 5 pages. That's probably a lot for 4th grade. But the article's 5 pages, and at the end of the article, there's 10 questions that everybody needs to answer. And the teacher gave the class 1 hour to do this assignment. Now, unfortunately, there was one problem. When she made the copies of this article, of course, by the time she got to those last few ones, the, you know, 27, 28, 29, and 30, the copier ran out of ink. All right, the ink kind of ran dry. So those last 3 or 4 copies look like crap. The writing is faded, and then on top of that, she didn't even have it, you know, something had messed up. It had jammed on copy 27. She had to do it again. So when she did those last 4, some of the writing on the left side got kind of cut off. So you can't even see some of the words starting out. You kind of have to guess what the word is, okay? You don't know if the word is fog or if the word is dog, okay? Moving on. So the teacher passes the articles out to the front of the class, and everybody's supposed to pass it around in a zigzag. You know, take one, pass it down to your neighbor. Take one, pass it down to your neighbor. Right? So remember, my name is Aaron. I got the first copy. I got a good, nice, perfectly clean copy. Everything is just written. I've already started my assignment because I already got my copy first. You haven't even got yours yet, so I already started ahead of you. And anyway, you finally get to your copy, Zoe, and Zoe, you got the very last copy in the classroom. Your copy is crap, all right? The ink is faded out. You can't read it. Right in the middle is just straight white. There's no words. You gotta kind of guess and figure out. You have no idea what the heck you're doing. Now, mind you, you're expected to perform just as well as me, Aaron, in the front of the classroom is. Mind you, I've already started. You're still in shock at the fact that your copy of the assignment sucks. And on top of that, the teacher can't go and print you another copy because of the school district that you live in. They have an ordinance where the teacher can't leave kids unattended in the classroom. So you kind of just have to work with what you have. Now, Zoe, instead of being lazy and asking for handouts, you said, I'm not just going to sit here and take this. I'm going to try to make the best with the resources that I have, and I'm going to try to do this assignment. So you spend a good 5 minutes, and you just realize it's not happening. You can't even read it. So what do? Because you're not lazy and because you don't ask for handouts, you're going to keep working. You go to your neighbor who's a seat over, and of course, he was 29, and his paper's just as screwed up or whatever. So you say, forget Yolanda. Don't ask why his name is Yolanda, but his name is Yolanda, and not the Yolanda that killed Selena. Moving on. You move a little bit further up. So you go to somebody whose name starts with freaking M. So you went to Marcus. You ask Marcus, hey Marcus, can I read on with you because mine I can't read. Marcus is like, you can read off mine, but not until I'm finished because I just want to read it by myself, and you might be reading slower than me, and I'm already gonna be ready to turn the page, and you're gonna F everything up. So no, you gotta wait till I'm finished. Teacher only gave y'all an hour, and so you, Zoe, is kind of like, I can't do that. I gotta move on because I need to get this done. So Zoe, you move a little bit closer to the front, and you go to James and Janice in the front. They're twins, and you sit right in between them and you try to ask them, can you read off theirs? Janice is tripping. She, teacher, so-and-so. Zoe's trying to cheat off my paper. So the teacher's pissed off now. First of all, Zoe, what are you doing out of your seat? You're supposed to be in the back anyway. As a matter of fact, go stand out in the hall because I already talked to you once today. And you, Zoe, you're like, wait a minute. All I'm trying to do is just get my assignment done. I didn't do anything. I was asking if I could, look at this person's article because I can't read my, that's not an excuse. Go out in the hall, and I'm going to call your parents when you get home. So you go out in the hall, the teacher calls your parents, and now, Zoe, you're getting cussed out by your parents because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And then the next day when you get to school, you have to stay after school and complete that assignment. So while you're staying after school or whatever, the teacher gives you a brand new copy of that article, and it's a nice, fresh, clean copy. It's just, it looks better than the one that I got as Aaron. So Zoe, you're doing this new article. You do it well. You read it in enough time. You answer all the questions. The teacher grades it right in front of you, and you get 100% on that article. Unfortunately, you turned it in late because you turned it in the day after it was due. And the only reason you turned it in late was because you were kicked out of the classroom and you weren't allowed to complete the assignment. So you turned it in a day late. And at least I know in Bethel Public Schools, where I went to school in good old Spanaway, Washington as a child, if you turned in something late, you got 50% off the assignment. So that means you just got an F. So even though you got 100% on that assignment and you worked probably harder than me, Aaron, at the front of the classroom ever did, or whatever, you worked twice as hard as I ever did on that assignment. You jumped through hurdles. You didn't sit there and pout because your article sucked. You did everything that you could do to try to get that article done in the same time and manner that I was supposed to get it done. And unfortunately, you didn't because of the circumstances that you were in. You ended up getting half the results. You failed. You got an F. You got 50% on the assignment. So now you got to go home and get fussed at by your parents. And now your parents are like, well, tell the teacher you're not going to recess for the rest of the week. And then that's the extent of your day. This is where the privilege kicks in. Me being Aaron sitting in the front of the classroom, I had no idea that you were even going through all that. Why? Because I have no reason to even look to the back of the classroom and check on Zoe and everybody else and Janice and all them, because I'm at the front of the classroom. Everything I need is in the front. Even the clock is in the front. And the clock is in the front, the teacher's desk is by the front, the pencil sharpener's in the front. I don't gotta go in the back to y'all. So I don't even know that all this is going on. And the privilege kicks in because I was afforded the opportunity to do my article, do it well, get 100%, and basically, I just did what I was supposed to do. The teacher gave me, Aaron, the assignment. Everything was right with it. I did well. The privilege kicks in because my name was Aaron, and that was the name I was born with, and it's not something I can change about myself or whatever. And basically, it's a characteristic that is associated with me, and I was placed in my seat because of what my name was. I got to sit in the very front of the classroom, and because I got to sit in the front of the classroom, I always get the best copies of all the handouts, and I always get to be the first person to experience anything that we pass to the class. Every time the teacher passes out something that the whole class needs to get, it goes on Aaron's desk, and Aaron takes one and passes it down, and then he starts. Aaron, I get to do everything before anybody else can. That's where the privilege kicks in. So this is why I was saying sometimes people associate privilege with being racist. It's not always being racist. It's the fact that you benefit from certain customs and certain ideologies and certain different things just based on who you are. When the teacher arranged the classroom, it wasn't arranged by how people looked, how people behaved, who was smart, who was dumb. It was just, we're going to go by what the first letter in your first name is, the name that you were born and attributed with. And that's where privilege kicks in. Because of how you were born and what you were born into, there are just opportunities that are afforded to you that sometimes you aren't even aware of. And you can't take offense and assume that that makes you a racist person because somebody calls you out on your privilege. Now, when you use your privilege to hold somebody down, let's say we get to recess, and Zoe, you're already pissed off because you turned this assignment in, you got a 50%. On top of that, you're also now behind because the rest of the class, we've moved on to the next article. You just now turned that one in, and now you're getting the article that we did today while you didn't get to do it because you had to stay after school and all this other crap. You're already behind. We're all at recess, and I'm like, Aaron or Zoe, what the heck? You got a 50 on that? You're just dumb. As a matter of fact, I don't think I want you to play on my team for kickball because we need people who aren't going to have to stay after school, and basically our kickball league, we need people who are going to be able to go to recess. And we were told that you say your dad said you can't go to recess for like a week because you failed that last assignment. So we don't really want you on our team because we need people that are going to be here. That's when my privilege turns into something where I'm oppressing you because of your experience, something that you really didn't have control over, and something I kind of don't really have control over, but because I have the upper hand in that situation, I can now use my experience to oppress you because you got an F on your assignment, I didn't. I'm joining the kickball team, and I only want people on my team who are going to basically make it to recess. So I don't need the people who freaking failed and who have to stay behind. I don't need that. That's where the privilege kicks in. And that's where Omarosa was trying to go with the whole argument. It was kind of like, she's not saying that, you know, America, all white women are racist and white women are mediocre and they just don't do anything and they all suck. And as a black woman, I'm Omarosa and I'm so much better than everybody. And the only reason you're where you are is because, you know, you're mediocre. She's saying the reason why a lot of people are where they are is because of privilege and the experiences and the opportunities afforded to them before they even come out of their mother's womb. That's kind of the conversation Omarosa is having. I'm going to stop here because my video is getting a little too long, but please share your opinions. Let me know what you think. Let me know if my ideology or my little theory here was not good enough for your liking. I think it was a good one. I tried. I liked it. It was a pretty good one. But anyway, I enjoyed sitting in front of the classroom as Aaron because that didn't get to happen to me too often. So, you know, as me being Aaron sitting in the front of the classroom, Zoe, let me know how you felt about basically failing your assignment because of the seat that you were in. And it was, you know, basically because of something that you had no control over. So let me know how you feel. All right, I'm out.